Fiona Harvey may have just been handed a huge boost with her lawsuit against Netflix for £130 million, which equates to around 170 million US dollars. Now, obviously, things are starting to get back into motion with the baby reindeer Fiona Harvey lawsuit, right? With, the trials commencing later on this month in May of 2025, and things are starting to progress a little bit. Now, in case you aren't aware, or you may have forgotten, here are some of the, here are some of the highlights from the lawsuit so far that kind of go into Fiona Harvey's favour thus far. So there is the judge's ruling, against Netflix's motion to dismiss. So in September of 2024, US District Judge Gary Klausner ruled that Harvey's lawsuit could potentially proceed, rejecting Netflix's attempt to dismiss the case. And the judge found that the show's, quote, true story claim was misleading, as Netflix made no effort to fact-check Gad's account or disguise Harvey's identity. Klausner noted a significant discrepancies between the show's depiction of Martha, e.g. a convicted of stalker and imprisoned, and Harvey's real-life actions, which included harassment warning with no criminal conviction. And the judge allowed Harvey to claim intentional infliction of emotional distress to move forward, citing the show's extreme and outrageous false statements. Right, so obviously this is what the entire case is hinged on. Baby Reindeer, the hit Netflix show that came out, this time last year, completely blew Fiona Harvey into the limelight, right, claiming that she was a twice convicted stalker, though she was able to claim that she wasn't through a DBS. Again, there's a lot of speculation about whether that's right, whether that's not right, all the rest of it, right? But as of right now, this is kind of all starting to go into Fiona Harvey's kind of favour a little bit. Does that mean that I think that she should win £130 million? No. But at the same time, I'm not the judge, jury, or the executioner here. So, there's also Netflix's true story claim as liability. So, legal experts suggest that Netflix's decision to market Baby Reindeer as a quote-unquote true story is a critical weak point, and the show's opening disclaimer, coupled with specific similarities between Harvey and Martha, e.g. identical social media posts, age, profession, and accent, made it easy for viewers to identify Harvey. The judge's ruling emphasized that the Netflix's failure to verify the story's accuracy could demonstrate actual malice, a key element in a defamation case, especially since Gad reportedly expressed reservations about the true story label. Then there's also potential for embarrassing losses and the trial and mediation developments, which means that obviously, a trial is scheduled for May 6th of 2025, so it is well underway and is expected to last about 2 weeks. However, Judge Klausner has also ordered mandatory mediation with a deadline of March 7th of 2025 to explore a settlement. Legal experts predict that Netflix may settle to avoid a high-profile trial, as it did previous defamation cases, for example, When They See Us in 2022. A settlement could still be seen as an admission of fault, reinforcing the narrative of an embarrassing loss. But legal experts have come out recently amidst the trial, basically in favour of Harvey, stating that there is plenty of evidence and plenty of proof to go against Netflix to back the defamation case and the actual malice, which is one of the key points and pillars that you need to prove in a defamation lawsuit, right? So, there's actual malice potentially involved from Netflix, which could potentially mean that Harvey might get a leg up in this case. Again, do we think that she should is a completely different story. This is just based off of the facts. So, a legal expert called James Pipe, who is speaking on behalf of the Free Grants for Felons, provided commentary to the Mirror US regarding Fiona Harvey's $170 million defamation lawsuit against Netflix, and his remarks, published on April 21st of 2025, focused on the potential trajectory and challenges of the case, highlighting why it could be a long and messy legal battle for Netflix. So, the key points and takeaways from the comments were a complex and protracted battle. So Pipe described the lawsuit as having, quote, all the ingredients for a long, messy legal battle due to its high-profile nature and the significant media attention surrounding Baby Reindeer. And he also suggested that the case could take at least 1 to 2 years to actually resolve unless both parties opt for an early settlement to avoid a drawn-out court fight. Harvey's challenges in proving negligence obviously are the next thing up. So Pipe expressed skepticism about Harvey's ability to succeed on the negligence aspects of her claims. He noted that Netflix would likely argue that they didn't act recklessly and took steps to fictionalize the story, such as altering certain details about the character Martha. Now, this defense could weaken Harvey's negligence claims, as Netflix may assert that they made reasonable efforts to anonymize her identity. And then there's Netflix's strong position. So Pipe emphasizes Netflix's advantage, including their, quote, deep pockets and robust legal arguments. He suggested that the outcome would hinge on whether the court views Baby Reindeer as a creative storytelling or as a damaging misrepresentation of Harvey. Netflix's resources and legal team could prolong the case, making it difficult for Harvey to secure a decisive victory. So essentially there, what they mean is, like, Netflix have got deep pockets. They can run the marathon of a court battle without any problem whatsoever and probably recoup the losses in no time. Whereas Harvey might have a tough time, keeping up with the court fees for that prolonged period of time. And then also, when the court battle is done, should she win, you've got to then wonder, will Netflix cover the court fees? Will that be a part of the, the defamation lawsuit? Or will she have to cover those fees? And if so, how much will those fees be in comparison to what she's actually earned from the legal battle? It makes you wonder for a little bit. But then there's also a potential for settlement. So Pipe indicated that the settlement is plausible, as both sides might prefer to avoid the costs and publicity of a prolonged trial. He noted that with a claim of the size of $170 million, an early settlement could be appealing to mitigate risks for both parties. Now, Pipe's comments lean towards the cautious assessment, acknowledging Harvey's potential to make a case, but underscoring Netflix's formidable resources and legal defenses. His focus on the negligence claims weaken aligns with the court's partial ruling, where Judge Gary Klausner dismissed Harvey's negligence and gross negligence claims, but allowed defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress claims to proceed. However, Pipe's analysis does not address the judge's finding that Netflix's true story label might be a failure to fact check and could demonstrate actual malice, a critical factor in a defamation case. This omission suggests that his commentary may underestimate the strength of Harvey's defamation argument, especially given the court's rejection of Netflix's motion to dismiss. Additionally, Pipe's affiliation with the Free Grants for Felons, an organization focused on supporting felons, raises questions about the context of his expertise. His comments do not explicitly tie to felon-related legal issues, and there's no indication that Harvey has a criminal conviction, which might limit the relevance of his organization's perspective. His analysis appears more general, focusing on an entertainment law dynamic rather than the specialized defamation expertise. I hope that all makes sense, but obviously what I've gathered from this is that we are gearing up for one hell of a messy lawsuit, and it's not over until the fat lady sings, so to speak. And it looks like it's going to be a long, grueling battle. Neither party are willing to back down. It doesn't seem like either party are willing to go for a out-of-court settlement, though that is yet to be seen. So we'll have to wait and see. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments, and be sure to follow. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.